Most of us, if we're being honest, the things that really matter to us generally are our health, whether it's the water that we're putting into our body, or even more importantly, the air that we breathe. Personally, I suffer with lung issues because of some of my own choices I've made in the years doing construction and not being careful what I breathed in at the time. And now I have permanent lung damage from breathing in dust and concrete and just a lot of the materials that we take for granted when we're younger. But I bring that up just to say that air quality matters. As I get older and get up into my 60s, my wife and I both suffer with allergies and other things that can be in our air. We've had issues in our house with mold, whether it was the air conditioner, pollen, dust. We have a dog, pet dander, other things that can affect the air quality of your home that I think many of us take for granted. So recently I had a company reach out to me, Trusted Air, and my wife and I have had HEPA filters or just air quality filters in our home in the past. We actually have two additional ones, but this company reached out to me and they wanted me to test this unit out to see what an honest review from our experiences would be for this particular unit. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the pros and the cons that my wife and I both found with this particular unit. Now, we have a couple of different units downstairs, which I've made videos for in the past. But this one we wanted to put in our room because we spend a large portion of our day, whether, from the time we go to night till we get up in the morning, breathing the air in that room. And we have an air conditioner in the window, so we keep the door to the room closed. So you can just imagine the stuff that's floating around in the air. And again, you got to remember there's seepage around the windows. There's all kind of things at play, not to mention just the dust in your ductwork. And there's so many things that come into play when it comes to the quality of the air in your home. So this unit is made by Trusted Air. And I'm just going to show you some of the features and, again, like I said, talk about some of the pros and cons of this particular unit. And what a lot of us don't realize is a lot of the stuff that makes us sneeze, that makes us sniffle, that makes us rub our nose, rub our eyes, generally it's the stuff that we can't see, whether it's the dust mites, the debris, the pollen, the pet dander, all these things that affect our breathing. Most air purifiers run blind. And what I mean by that is typically most of these units, you turn them on, you sometimes can hear the fan running, you hope they're working, but do you really know if the unit is working? What does it give you to show you that it is actually doing what it is professed to do? So one thing I like about this Trusted Air unit is that it actually monitors the air quality in real time. It alerts you when the air is poor, and what it does is it automatically ramps up to filter what needs to be filtered at the time. And a lot of it you can do from the app on your phone that Trusted Air has that you can download to your phone. But we're going to discuss more on that app a little bit later in the video. Another thing that I've found just with units I've had in the past is some companies are kind of vague on the size of the room that the unit will actually filtrate. You know what I mean? Trusted Air, not so much. They tell you anywhere between, I believe it's 414 square feet up to 1,986 square feet. Another thing I liked about this particular unit right here is that it actually filters in 3 stages. And what that means is the first stage is going to pick up your obvious stuff, your hair, your dog fur, your lint, and things of that nature. And a true HEPA filter is actually going to collect 97%, almost up to 100% of those microns. When I say microns, I'm talking dust mites, I'm talking mold spores, pollen, airborne pet dander if you have a dog or a cat, which many of us do, and so on and so forth. And one other thing I want to mention before we just show you the device itself, it actually has what they call a pelleted coconut shell carbon activated filter system inside, which helps with odors. Say you're cooking something in the house, you're cooking some fish or something, and it helps absorb a lot of those odors out of the air. So real quick, we're going to talk about the unit here and some of the features and what it looks like. Just to give you an idea, this unit is about 20 inches tall, not yet 2 feet tall. It's about 11 inches wide, weighs about 14 pounds, not very heavy. Even has little handles on the side here, as you can see. And I have it plugged in back here. We're going to look at some of the features here. If you look at the top here, you can see it has filter reset. It has an automatic setting, and you can set it to where it will filter automatically. It has a sleep setting, which is nice because it actually quiets the unit. It has 3 different fan speeds. Let's power it on here. As you can see right now, it is actually beginning to monitor and filter what is in this particular bedroom that I'm in. And then if I have the phone app on my phone, it will actually show you, as soon as you turn it on, what percentage of pollutants there are in the air. For example, in our bedroom, we leave this thing in our bedroom, and when we turn it on remotely by the app on the phone about an hour or two before we go up for bed. And when you look at it, when we first turn it on, it's somewhere up in the high 46, 47% of, garbage in the air. But then by the time we go upstairs, that number is all the way down to 1, meaning that it has almost cleaned and purified that air completely. But again, this thing also has a child lock function on it. It has a timer where it gives you 3 different time sets. Even has a display here where you can turn the light off on the display, or you can turn it on. 3 different fan speeds, like I mentioned. And you can kind of hear how loud it is with the fan. That's the highest fan setting. Turn it down to the lowest fan setting. So again, very simple to use if you don't want to download the phone app. You just want to use it on your the actual display that's on the unit itself. So pretty user-friendly, pretty simple to use. So one thing that I didn't mention that I want to discuss a little bit, if you're not familiar with TVOC or TVOC, TVOC stands for Total Volatile Organic Compounds. And what that means is it measures the combined amount of many different chemical gases that are floating in the air. And when I say chemical gases, I'm talking about maybe paint fumes that are coming off of things that are in that room, new furniture, cleaning supplies, cleaning sprays, things of that nature. They give off odors and gases. So what this unit does is it filters out up to 90% of those odors that are emitting into the air as well. So some of the pros and cons that I wanted to talk about just briefly. Overall, my wife and I love this unit. She is extremely happy with it. She's the techie person in the house, and one of her favorite features, and one of mine, like I mentioned a little bit ago, is the fact is that as soon as you power this thing on, it immediately will show you in the app, it will show you what level of garbage basically is in your air. Like I said, we use ours in the bedroom, and when we turn it on, I can see on my app on my phone how much garbage is in the air. And it's usually somewhere between 45 and 50% if we've had the bedroom door closed on all day. And then when we turn the unit on, it starts working. But it will go from the high 40s down to 1% as far as the stuff that's in the air. So to be able to go from almost 50% crap in your air down to 1%, that says a lot. My wife also loves the fact that it is super quiet. And then having the app on the phone, you're able to turn it on early. Like a lot of times in our evenings, we kind of sit and watch a couple of television programs, and it's nice if we know we're going to bed at a certain time, we can turn the unit on from our phone while we're downstairs, and the unit will start working. So by the time we open the bedroom door and enter the bedroom, the air smells crisper, it smells fresher, it just smells clean. Plus, I mentioned it has a sleep button as well, so you can actually turn the noise portion of the machine off, and it will still continue to filter the air in that room. So right now we're going to transition to the app, which was probably the biggest negative that my wife and I had with this particular device. The unit itself we thought was amazing, but the app, I believe, could use a lot more work to make it more user-friendly, and there's a lot of functions that did not work for us, whether she had it downloaded on her phone or I had it on my phone. So this is the Trusted Air phone app, and as you can see, this is real time. So the circle that you see at the top of the app that has the little dashes all the way around it, that should actually be giving us real-time information. If you look at it, you can see there's something that should actually show what city and state you're in, I believe, what the temperature is, what mile per hour over the wind is, I guess the percentage of the humidity in the air. And as you can see, ours has not shown any of that. Even if you refresh it like I just did, it didn't show any of that information. So that was a little bit discouraging. And then another thing that you'll notice, if you look at the app, you'll see a lot of advertisements for the company itself. Now, there's nothing wrong with promoting your products and your services, but when that takes precedence over the the app itself, it's kind of frustrating. So as we scroll down, you have to scroll all the way down. So if you look here, you see as I scroll down here, you can see what looks like a lady's feet and her dog. I'm assuming that they're saying, hey, dog dander and pet hair. And as you scroll to the left and the right, it shows other things that this unit can get rid of. And that's important to have. But again, the functionality of the app should take precedent. But then I had to keep scrolling down to finally get to where you can see this trusted air purifier, where it actually shows you in that circle there. It's supposed to show you the quality of the air. As you can see here, again, real time, ours is showing 0, apparently showing that the air quality is good. As you can see on the app here, it has different settings. It has the auto setting, it has a sleep setting like we talked about earlier, it has low, medium, and high, so you can adjust the speed of the fan, which is kind of nice from the app. So in this portion of the app, if you look down at the bottom here, it has several functions on it. So this particular part of it was kind of disappointing because all I can get it to tell me is the fan speed. If you look at the little color-coded things, the green, the light green, the dark green, the blue, the orange, is basically telling me what my fan speed was for those particular days. I personally don't really care what my fan speed is because I know what it is because I set it. What I want to know is, what am I removing from the air? Is it dander? Is it dust? Is it mold spores? Is it, that kind of stuff? There's nothing like that on this app to let me know what it is that I'm actually removing and how much of it that I'm actually removing. That would be a good thing to have on the app itself. So on this next screen, this was kind of disappointing to my wife and I. So if you look down at the bottom, you'll see what looks like 2 buttons. One says display and one says display lock. I have tried, my wife has tried, and my wife uses the app on her phone more than I do because she's the one that's more allergic to different things in the air. But neither one of these buttons would do anything. I couldn't get it to move off of the display or the display lock. Now, thankfully, I can still hit the display, which would turn off the lighted portion on the machine itself. It has a button on the machine like I talked about earlier, but you can't do it through the app. Now, this section here was probably the most frustrating for my wife and I, and I'll explain why. One of the things that my wife was looking forward to was being able to have the timer set up, or the schedule, not the timer, where it would come on at a certain time and it could turn off at a certain time. But the way this thing is set up, you can set it, for example, on the screen here, it says 5 o'clock. I can have it come on at 5 o'clock, but I can't program it to turn off at a certain time, which makes no sense to me. So it can only do one thing. Now, it would do that every day, but this thing has not the ability for me to schedule it to come on at 5 o'clock in the morning and let's say go off at 5 o'clock in the evening. It will not let you do that. So I don't understand what the purpose is of having a schedule when you can only schedule one particular thing. It's kind of crazy to me, honestly. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, as you can see there in the center towards the bottom, it has an on-off button where you can turn it on and off. And this here is the timer. Okay, but it only gives you 3 settings. It doesn't give you the ability to do anything beyond 2 hours, 4 hours, or 8 hours. What about 6 hours? What about 24 hours? I just think there's a lot of things that could have been added to this app to make the app function a lot better, personally. For us, there's buttons that don't work. It doesn't give the display that it should at times. It was just kind of disappointing. And then here on the back end, it has some other settings too. It has the device name. I don't really care about that. The icon, don't really care about that. User manual, I clicked on that, and it's not even the machine that I have. It's a totally different machine. So again, in a nutshell, there's a lot of things on this app that could have been improved from our opinion. So just in conclusion, our experiences are not going to be everybody else's. And like I said, for us, this machine we thought was amazing. The way it worked, the way it made the air smell when we walked into the room. You could definitely tell a difference between stale, stagnant air and how this room breathed, so to speak, after we walked back into the room after using the unit. We loved it. Our only negative was the app. The app did not function the way that we thought it should. And again, maybe everybody's experiences is not that. This was our experience. There were buttons on there that didn't work. There were things that we wanted to be able to do that we weren't allowed to do. So again, not knocking the unit as a whole, because if it wasn't for the app, probably would have given this thing 5 stars. Like I said, I have to give it 4 stars because they talk about the functionality of the app. And for us, we did not achieve that. Again, like I said, my wife and I are both very techy. We have a lot of smart devices in our home, so we're very familiar with using apps, and we know what we enjoy and what we don't enjoy. And with this particular app, not the device, just the app itself and the functions of it, what we thought was good versus was not what was not good, we were not very happy with it. So again, as a consumer, the device worked great. The functionality of the app could have given more information based on what we're used to, especially in 2026 with the advancements in technology and apps that we all have on our phones that we use all the time. So again, that would be my negative. But the unit as a whole was a great unit. So the filter replacements for these units are going to cost you about $39. And the device itself will show you how much life left in that filter you have. It'll count down, typically 90% left, 88% left. You guys get the idea. So about $39 in costs, and they're going to last you anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So click that link, check it out. Love you guys. I will check you on the next one. Later.